Everybody. Welcome to the TC Online presentation. For those of you who are familiar with Zoom, you probably know how to navigate around. If you go to the bottom left, there's the mute function, and you'll see like the little video camera. You're welcome to turn on your video if you like. We always like to see everybody. I see Michelle up there. Hello, Michelle. So during this presentation, if you go towards the bottom middle of your screen, you'll be able to send chat questions. So if you have any questions, things that come up, feel free to send any messages to my co-host here, Mr. Liam Powers. He will field any questions and we'll try to answer as many as we can. We've done a few presentations, so we kind of know some of the common ones. We'll try to address them before we get asked, but there's always a couple new ones, so we will make sure to get to them. Today, like I said, I'm your host. My name is David Hill. I'm actually president of Tutoring Club. Joining me today is Liam Powers. He's vice president of Tutoring Club. I think as you kind of scroll through, you'll see I see Michelle Scott. So we have some people from Mclean, Virginia area. We're excited to have you guys all here. Virginia, I know, is one of the, I guess kind of a weird word to use, but trailblazers of kind of announcing to parents that the students are not going to be going to school for the rest of the year. We here are based in California. We're getting very close to being right there with you guys. So we know this is a tough time for everybody. We know this is a challenging adjustment to life in general. But we've worked very hard over the last few weeks to get this platform up and going. We've had quite a few students over the last week and a half, 2 weeks that have been using this platform, and it's been very well received. We have a lot of students who are still having a lot of requirements. They've been kind of adjusting to online learning from the different school districts. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about how this works, but show you some of the features that your students frankly, will probably be better at using than us adults. I have a 5th grade daughter myself, and she's been engaged in this for 2 weeks, and she loves it, and she knows how to use everything way better than dad. But I will get to play student today, so that'll be fun. But just so you guys all know, being that we're from different parts of the country, I've been doing this for about 17 years. I've got this team that's very family oriented. We always kind of joke around, but Mr. Liam right here was one of my first students when I started many, many years ago. And we've just kind of grown as a team together. So even though this is a very hard time in our country and our world, the Tutoring Club team in general has kind of rallied together, and we are still wanting to work with your students, help out as much as we possibly can, and kind of be just like a release to give you a little bit of a break from your kids sometimes, because we love them so, but it's nice sometimes to give them some structure and not be playing video games or on their cell phones or iPads 24/7 talking to friends and stuff. So without further ado, I will introduce Mr. Liam. Again, he's going to get to play tutor today. I get to play student. And Liam, the floor is yours.
Lucky you. Thanks for the intro. First and foremost, thanks to everybody for joining us. Good afternoon for almost everybody, unless you're buzzing in from Hawaii, which I don't think we have any centers there or anybody from there. I noticed that a decent amount of the participants on this call are in high school, or your student is in high school, a lot of 9th, 10th, 11th graders. Right now is a really stressful, anxiety-riddled time, regardless of the age of student you have. If you're a 3rd grade parent and you were looking to get them into that advanced track, those GATE classes, what's been interrupted, potentially your OLSAT test, potentially your state testing, which was going to be the determinant of if your student moved on to that level or not. If you have a high schooler, you're very stressed. What's going to happen to final grades? Is your district pass, no pass now? How's that going to influence college admissions? There's a whole lot up in the air. I think the most important thing is let's control what we can control. And right now, unfortunately, it's under these circumstances, but your student has an opportunity where they're not going to school 7 hours a day. They're not going to sports practice for 3 hours afterward. And then coming into our tutoring clubs, at 6 or 7 at night, exhausted after a long day, just scrambling to get done what they can before they know the expectation is that's due the following class session. So because those things are not happening, we have a distinct advantage right now. We can make sure that whatever your student missed in terms of instruction, whether they're in 11th grade doing pre-calculus honors or they're in 2nd grade developing their reading skills, we can make sure that they get ahead during this time when a lot of their counterparts and their classmates are playing video games and really not focused academically on much of anything. So whether, for some people on this call, hypothetically, your student goes back to school in 7 weeks, which we don't anticipate, or more likely starts again in August, they're starting off confident in where they should be, rather than there are other students who maybe are not going to get that same benefit of instruction in a digital capacity. So there's 2 things we want to show you. Number one, you're looking at it. What your student will do is when they log into their first session and every session thereafter, They're going to see their tutor. They're going to hear their tutor, just like this. We use this platform right here. The other half, the other 50% of this, is going to be what we call your student's online personal classroom. And that's probably most important here. It's a space that I'll show you a screen share in just a second, but it's going to allow your student to collaborate on materials, whether it's our materials or the homework or packets that they've been assigned. They're allowed to upload worksheets, take a picture of their textbook and upload it, and the tutor and the student can both interact in live time in that capacity. So let me pull up a screen share here, if you don't mind. All right. So what you should be seeing is a fractions worksheet. This is something that if your student actually comes to Tutoring Club and works on our math curriculum, they are likely very familiar with. If you have a high schooler, probably just ignore the fact that this is multiplying fractions, but we want you to see what the functionality is. So Dave here is going to play my student today, and I will be the instructor. There's a lot of cool tools on here. So what it allows for is students to actually write on here to the best of their ability. There you go, Dave. Dave's in the blue, I'm in the orange. We'll see how neat his handwriting is today.
All right. So what's really nice about these worksheets, this is going to be your student's unique whiteboard. This will always be theirs. So all the work that we put on here will just be unique to their particular needs. So if they work on our program, because we can drive a lot of the curriculum all the way through K through 12, it will be here. If they have things that are coming from school, we know a lot of the schools are sending a lot of PDF worksheets, packets. They have different things that they can print out. They can upload anything to their whiteboard. This is interactive with all types of technology. So you can use iPads, you can use stylus from different tablets, Chromebooks. Essentially, if it's something that's within the last 20 years, it normally should work fine with this platform. All right.
There you go. So just to put Dave's math skills on the test here. So what you'll see is I actually used a text box. There's a couple tools on here. Your student's first time logging in, the tutor's going to give them an introduction to how this functions, whether you use the draw tool. Again, Dave already alluded to it, but your students are going to figure this out in about 4 seconds. They're all pretty adept with technology, but we have the ability to use text boxes. We have the ability to use kind of this draw tool and really point to things. You'll see for number 3, this is an example where for one of our guided exercises, we really want to get across this point right here that's starred. So I drew an arrow. I would talk your student through, or Dave in this case, I could talk you through why number 3 needs a denominator here because it doesn't have one. And again, this is just one of the many things your student can do on here. So our curriculum, math, reading, writing. But on the other hand, probably more important to many of you on this call is what can your student bring to the table and actually work on with the tutor that is not our material as Tutoring Club. And what I want to show you there is what we call our document uploads. You'll see at the bottom of the screen here where it says documents. You'd go ahead and click on that. And this is a place where your images can be stored. They can be PDFs, they can be JPEGs, they can actually be Microsoft Word documents too. But if your student has a login to Campus Connect or Aries or School Loop, whatever your school district uses to post assignments, they will be able to access those assignments online, download them to whatever tablet, laptop device that you guys use. And then all they'll do here is click choose file. So in the bottom right-hand corner, this is just like attaching a file to an email. You would go to your computer, you'd say, hey, I want to work on my ACT math section. And after a few seconds of clicking the document, it will appear right here in our queue. So let's say your student wants to work on chemistry. They would go ahead and click their chemistry worksheet from school. And then moments later, it would appear right here. So now David's uploaded that. As the tutor, if I knew the first thing about advanced chemistry, I would instruct David on what we're looking at here. But as you know, the chemistry tutor that your student typically works with at Tutoring Club would be able to explain the different facets of this worksheet, the lessons that they need to retain after completing this worksheet, and really work together in collaboration here. So Dave, give me an answer to number 1. What type of chemical reaction is taking place?
Man, it's been too long, Liam. It's been too long. But I need help. So what I could do is if I had no clue, which I don't, I can go ahead and write help so that the tutor can know that I really have no idea what I'm doing on that. That's what's great is on a lot of these kind of questions you can type out. You are able to even write on another piece of paper. So we know that a lot of the worksheets will be turned in Most things I've seen though so far with our districts we're working with, you submit online a lot of the worksheets and what have you. So students can work on them on their computer. They can work on them handwritten and then scan things. But the nice thing was having the video function with this is they can always see the work that they're doing on a piece of paper as well.
So again, David wrote the word help. I can write out some specific directions here, but the most integral part of this is going to be the communication in terms of just speaking with one another, the tutor and the student, while looking at the same piece of paper, just as they would in the confines of coming into our center. You know, there's a piece of paper, let's say this chemistry worksheet on the table. The tutor is pointing to things, explaining things, and talking, most importantly, getting across the main points to your student. Your student is then providing feedback. They understand, they don't understand, they need a little more clarification, let's say on number 2. And really that same functionality is going to exist here. So our goal with this was to bring every element of Tutoring Club that we possibly could from our physical space and try to deliver it in a capacity that gives you a very similar experience online. There's just a bit of distance in between us and we're looking through laptops or tablets as opposed to being in person. So again, document upload, your student can upload anything they need help with, Algebra 2, chemistry, pre-calculus, SAT that they've been working on, and or if your student doesn't have anything, quote unquote, we can upload those same worksheets. We've been in these areas for a long time. Michelle's been in Mclean for a good deal of time. She knows exactly what Algebra 2 typically covered in April and May. So we can provide the same things to your students that last year and the year before's classes were expected to understand, even if the teachers or the districts haven't had any expectations of what your students should be doing at this time. Let's see, last thing, or go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, you're going to show the Etherpad now, I think.
Yeah,
right?
so we have something called the Etherpad here. So this is fine and well what we've showed you for our curriculum or your students' math, science, kind of foreign language oriented worksheets or packets that they have. But if your student has an essay, none of what we've showed you so far is going to be helpful. That's why we have the Etherpad built in here. What's really cool about this, it functions just like Google Documents. This is just like what your students are used to on there, where we can collaborate in live time together and all changes are tracked. So anything that I do as the tutor will be displayed in one color. Anything that David does as the student will be displayed in another color. And what's great is David already logged in before this session started, just like your student will be able to. And he put his rough draft right into here just by copy and pasting from Microsoft Word or whatever he was working on before. You'll see he's typing here, I would like to discuss my conclusion. Sweet, let's discuss it. What can I help you with?
Just want to, so what's nice about this, just so you can see, now Liam can actually write, if you want to go ahead and write on here, you can see it's just like on the last examples, there's different colors. So as I've been kind of saying, this Etherpad, this entire whiteboard, your student will have their unique user ID, or well, it's basically a web page, and they will always be able to come in here. We find this will be very helpful, and it has been with some of our, I would say 5th grade and up students who've been receiving like essay assignments and what have you. You can keep them on here, and this allows you to come, even when you're not in session, to work on things, practice on different things, and just have this still available even when you're not in an actual tutoring session with tutors staring at you. With essays and things, especially as you get to middle school, high school, with the length of some of them, it's helpful to be able to work a little bit on your own, and then you can come in with questions. And you're not going to remember everything you probably discussed with your tutor. So having these kind of notes here will be helpful to remind you, trigger your memory to get through whatever type of changes you were going to make on your essays.
And the biggest thing is that a lot of your high school and middle school students probably will be assigned essays over the course of the next few weeks, whether they're mandatory or optional. I know districts have different policies across the country, and even in school districts right next to each other, we've seen drastically different policies. But the reason that essays may become more of a facet of your students' reality the next month is because teachers know that any test they give, if it's online, it's open book, it's open note, it's open Google, there's no time limits. You can do whatever the heck you want. When it comes to an essay, this is actually a way for your student to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding of something. And kind of the proof is in the pudding here, as opposed to any test where the majority of students are going to be scoring 95s or 100. So expect that that will take place. Also on here for those juniors in attendance, or if you have an 11th grader, we can collaborate on your college essays here. Speaking of which, 11th grade parents, I apologize if you're in it right now. There's a lot of uncertainty as it pertains to college admissions. And we did a couple of sessions and talking points related specifically to 11th grade Q&A. We have a recording. If you're interested in that, we'll send it to you. Just kind of addresses what's going on with SATs and AP tests and application deadlines and what to expect. But for everybody else, regardless, this Etherpad, the ability to upload assignments, and then also the ability to continue where your student left off with our curriculum, that's the foundation and the reason that really we made a push to invent this. So I'm going to stop the screen share now and open up to questions, hopefully. Oh, Mary Beth, we will get you the recording. Yeah, awesome. There. See, it's cool. You can see and interact with people even if you're muted. Yes, and if you do have follow-up questions on that, direct your questions to your center director. If you could just type in that private message what center you belong to, I'll make sure that your director gets it to you.
One of the questions that's come up, we'll go over a few of them, but one of the questions is scheduling. We know we're a few weeks, so we've been now a few weeks away from being in regular school and what have you. You normally probably for this time of year, we're coming in the afternoons. Most of the centers will still have similar hours. A few of the districts, and this will go center to center, so don't hold me to this with every single one of you on here, but a lot of us are also doing some morning sessions because students are not required to be in school as much in an actual online setting. So go ahead, your directors and your assistants and stuff will reach out to you probably today or tomorrow to start scheduling things for you.
This is a great question. So how would, as many of you know, we have reading, writing, and math programs and curriculum all the way up through 10th, 11th, 12th grade. For younger students who want to work on our TC writing program, but may not know how to type, how we would address that. I'll start, Dave, feel free to chime in afterwards. So with our younger students, first, second, third, fourth grade even, who are not super adept at typing, composition is one aspect of our writing program. That's actually putting things together in the form of a paragraph that's cohesive or actually an essay. For the youngsters, building blocks are punctuation, grammar, sentence structure, and really working through those fine details. So about 3/4 of our program addresses more of those fine details in first, second, third, fourth grade, as opposed to just writing essays over and over. So the typing functionality, we would simply work around by providing our curriculum in terms of correcting sentences, having more of that visual feel like you saw with the math worksheets there, where we're talking about where to put semicolons and how X, Y, or Z works. So I think there's an easy workaround there. If we have a student who's like a 10th grader who needs help with an essay but doesn't know how to type, that could be a problem, but I don't anticipate that. Ooh, how will SAT prep work? Another Mclean family, awesome. I love your area, by the way. SAT prep, gonna work just the same as when your student came in if they were already engaged with SAT prep with us. So your student, and if you could just clarify while I'm talking by typing if they've already been doing SAT, but if you have a student already doing SAT prep with us, they should have 2 books. One is focused on English language arts, one focused on the mathematics. If that's the case, then they're going to continue working out of those books, but we also have digital copies of every page of those books where the tutor and student can then collaborate on the particular section that is important for them that particular session or week or just where they are in the curriculum. Perfect, yes, current student. So we'll continue just as we were. Wherever they left off in that book, in kind of the trajectory of our curriculum, we'll pick up with. We also have all of the SATs and ACTs uploaded that are available to basically the public, where your student can continue taking practice tests. We have like a cool digital bubble and Scantron that they can go through. So SAT, ACT prep will not be virtually any different except for, you know, the physical distance we're gonna have.
Another thing that's come up too, Liam, as far as each week you will receive like a link to your actual tutoring sessions. So you should receive them normally in the mornings of your sessions. Like we have mentioned though, the whiteboard will always be there. So even though, but we know students are students and they'll forget things. When they come into their sessions, the tutors will remind them where to go to pull up their whiteboards if they don't remember. But that's gonna be something they can always access all the time. The meeting IDs will be kind of unique for each tutor.
And once you set up your first session for your student, I'm assuming your center owners and directors will be reaching out to you to say, hey, what schedule works for you guys, given that things are probably a bit more open than normal. Don't assume that your Tuesday, Thursday, 5:30 appointment still stands, but they'll reach out to you, work on a couple days and times. Once you hammer out a schedule, you'll receive before your first session an email, and then before every session, frankly, a couple hours out, you know, here's the link to the video chat platform. Here's a separate link to your student's personal classroom. As Dave said, that personal classroom will not change. It'll be persistent. It's just for your student. They can log in before sessions, stay on after sessions, and continue working. Bookmark that. because that website address, that URL for your student's personal classroom, again, going to be persistent, not going to change. Question pertaining to SAT. This is probably in the recording. It is, but I'll still answer. But do we have any idea if they'll actually, and when they'll be able to take the SATs and ACTs? May SAT canceled, April ACT canceled, obviously. June is happening for now in person. That's what the College Board and the ACT Testing Commission have said. I would say that's more like 50-50. If you're asking me, probably a bit worse. They are going to, no matter what, give several opportunities for your student to take the SAT or ACT throughout the summer, into the fall, if they are going into their senior year. So there should still be probably 4 attempts at an SAT, 3 or 4 at an ACT, even after the June one. And I wouldn't be shocked if both of those testing commissions added another opportunity to take, because they know how critical this time was, and most juniors were planning on taking, you know, the March or the May, and this is really throwing a wrench in your plans. So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring, and we'll let everybody know, and your center owners will get answers out to you whenever it becomes available. Nothing else coming through. Dave, what have we missed question-wise?
So I think one of the big things, obviously, is everybody's kind of in uncertainty right now. And I think as a parent, as someone who's run a tutoring club for a long time, this is a very critical time. And I know we've gotten a lot of stress, especially from 11th and 10th grade parents, because they're right in it. But I think if one silver lining of all of this, and Liam and I always talk about this, and all of us who kind of run tutoring clubs have always talked about this, we wish every now and then we could stop school for some of those students who need to catch up. If you have any kids, I feel right now more than ever, everyone needs this. If you only have one student that attends with us, I would highly recommend to have all your kids come with us. The other thing is, it's become kind of a funny social media ongoing joke about, oh, like I'm homeschooling my kid now, I can't believe this. We're here to help with that. So if you have friends and family, we are a service. We are very well geared for this. Yes, we can't be in person, but we have our curriculum. We deal with summer every single year where we drive the entire ship. Schools are still adjusting to this. They're big kind of ships that have a hard time adjusting to big changes like this. We're able to do it a lot quicker. So we're here to help you and be a partner like we always have. And I'll still tell you the one thing for my daughter for the last 2 weeks, getting to see those same tutors she's used to seeing, getting that interaction and seeing a couple other kids here and there is very, very helpful psychologically for the kids. So if anything, it's going to be great for that as well for most of your children.
And just to underscore that, if you're a student or if you're a parent and have a student attending Mclean, Virginia, Mclean tutors are going to be servicing your students' needs right now online. You're not going to be working with somebody from California or Nevada or anything like that. So they're going to see some familiar faces. Plus, of course, those tutors, especially for those students who come in quite consistently, which we hope they do, they've developed a really good rapport. Your tutors understand what your students' needs are, probably how they try to get out of things. Your students understand how to be taught something by a certain tutor. So we want to continue that path. But yeah, it doesn't appear any other questions have come through. We know that your days are precious in terms of time. So probably wrap up at this point. If you have follow-up questions, don't be afraid to contact your center director or owner. If it's anything highly technical, they can refer it to us. By the way, speaking of technology, last little tidbit, you need a device that connects to the internet. That is basically it. Almost anything built in the last 15 years or so, laptop, tablet, cell phone, desktop, as long as it's not running Windows 95 or something, you're good to go. You don't need the webcam. It's cool if your student wants to say hi to the tutor and it helps with engagement. But the most important thing is we can hear your student and your student can see and hear their tutor. That's it. Probably wouldn't advise doing a phone though, because your student's going to be squinting and probably affect their eyesight down the road. So use a tablet, laptop, iPad, whatever you got, we'll be good.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck to everybody out there. Be safe, and we're looking forward to working with your students again. So take care. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.